tomorrow. Highs around 72. Cloudy skies expected. Chance for isolated storms tomorrow night. Lows level off around 51. Mainly cloudy skies expected. That's your forecast on Kim Radio, Talk That Matters. Currently, it's 72 degrees.
This is where South Dakota sports fans come for real South Dakota sports talk. Welcome to SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown. From East River to West River, high school to college to the pros. This is your sports talk show that covers it all. And now, on Kim Radio, Talk That Matters, the host of SD Sports Buzz Tonight, here's Nate Brown.
Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome back into South Dakota Sports Talk Show on 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio. We welcome you in on our radio home, also here on SDSportsBuzz.com. If you're watching on the live stream, welcome, everybody. Wednesday night is SD Sports Buzz Tonight, and it's a busy night, as you would expect. Big football coming up this weekend once again, and we'll recap this past week. A lot of great guests on the program tonight. Rapid City Central gets their win that they've been looking for since last year, and they get it in fashion at the Rushmore Bowl. Rapid City Stevens with a big win, I would say, over Aberdeen Central this past week. So Rushmore Bowl in the books. The St. Thomas More Hot Springs Showdown wasn't as close as maybe some thought it might be. I don't know if Hot Springs would say they played really, really well. St. Thomas More had to be happy with it. The Cavaliers stay undefeated. And now we move on to the upcoming week. I'll get to my picks here coming up, a few highlighted games that I'll throw out, Brown's best, my best picks on the high school football scene straight ahead. Let's give you a rundown of the program tonight. SD Sports Buzz Tonight, presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores on East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. In the lineup tonight, Craig Maddock will join us momentarily. Craig Maddock, KWSN Sioux Falls Sports Radio. We'll get the East River side of things from him. Also, going out East River, talking to head coach of the number one ranked team in 11A football in South Dakota tonight, Max Hodgen, who's just done an outstanding job at Madison. I mean, Madison was really not a football school for a long time. You know, the old moniker where it's a football school, it's a basketball school, and Madison was that prototypical basketball school. They've had a lot of success there, not a lot of football success, and he's really done a nice job. Not only have they started having success, I mean, they have been the team to beat the last couple of years, and they just pound West Central, a perennial powerhouse in 11A football this past week. Madison just routed West Central. It was just unbelievable. And I wasn't too surprised by it. I mean, I talked about that on this program last week, that you look at the Madison West Central, you know, and St. Thomas More fans really have their eyes on that game because it's 11A powerhouses, kind of a measuring stick there. And I thought Madison would win that pretty easily, and maybe even they won it probably more easy than I thought they would. Max Hodgen, head coach in Madison, he'll join us tonight. Always a good interview with him. Also in the high school ranks, Wayne Sullivan on tonight from St. Thomas More, Rob Sales at Central, Scott Hagan over at Stevens, and Dan Machachuk out at Douglas, as they've got a big matchup coming up. And how about a win for Douglas in double OT over Brookings in the 11 AA ranks? That was big for a pretty young Patriots team, by the way. Dan Machachuk and Douglas not giving up. Those guys will continue to fight. They started off a little slow, had some tough matchups right away. That was a big win for the Douglas Patriots. Congrats to them. We'll talk to Coach Magic straight ahead. And into the college ranks, speaking of a big win, South Dakota Mines went on the road in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference for the first game in the conference, and they went on the road down in Utah against Dixie State, a 31-27 victory. The Hard Rockers are 2-0 to start the season in NCAA Division II football, and a big matchup with a powerhouse, national powerhouse this week on the road at Colorado State Pueblo. We'll talk to Zach Tinker, head coach at South Dakota Mines, straight ahead. Let's get into it. Brown's Best. This is the part of the program where I throw out the high school games of the week, my picks, and then you can hammer me. I hit the games right last week. Hit every game right last week. We'll see how my picks go this week. I did take Stevens over Aberdeen Central last week. Got it. The Raiders win by 2. It was a tight one. It was a quality win for the Raiders. I took Central pretty big over Spearfish, and it was very, very big over Spearfish. I did take St. Thomas More by 2 touchdowns or more against Hot Springs, and that came to fruition. So I'm on target here, and we'll see what happens this week. Let's start with a matchup in the Black Hills Conference. Douglas Spearfish play this week. The Patriots with a win over Brookings this past week, double OT, lifts their confidence, gets some of these younger guys realizing that they can play and compete, and I think that elevates them to win at Spearfish as well. Even though Spearfish got off to a good start this year, a 2-0 start, their strength of schedule hasn't been great, and I think Douglas has been tested. They've been on the road out east. They've played some big-time schools. I'll take Douglas to win on the road at Spearfish, and I think a pretty competitive game. I don't think it's going to be one of those 40-0 games like we saw Central take down Spearfish. I'm not going down that road. I think it's going to be pretty close, but Douglas, I think, wins by a touchdown at Spearfish this week. Into the big schools. Rapid City Central is here at O'Hara Stadium Friday night. The Cobblers are at home taking on Watertown. Cobblers are 1-2. Watertown is 1-2. And I'm going to go with Rapid City Central after all of last year, not winning a game, but being close in a few. They get the win over Spearfish in big fashion. Rapid City Central played well last week at the Rushmore Bowl, 40-0 win over Spearfish. Now they go back-to-back in another winnable game, and I think the Cobblers are going to take that confidence again. Momentum's a big-time thing. It's a weird thing, and not only in high school sports, college sports, it really is one of those factors, especially with the young kids in high school, especially with the young kids. So much momentum going your way, it makes a big difference. So that's why I like Central to also win back-to-back games. I think they're going to go to 2-2. It's going to be tight. They're going to have to play well. We'll talk to Rob Sales coming up about that game. So I'm going to take the Cobblers at home to beat Watertown and move their record to 2-2. I'm going to take Douglas on the road at Spearfish to win, so I think Douglas will improve to 2-2. Stevens, on the other hand, they don't get that matchup of one of those mid-tier teams in 11 AAA. They get Brandon Valley on the road. Brandon Valley's kind of a wounded team right now. They're 1-2. They should be better than their record, is what a lot of people are saying. They were a team that a lot of people were talking about with their talent and their quarterback play, the 11 AAA, to be right in the mix with Roosevelt and Washington, some of those schools. They're 1-2. They haven't looked great. I think that's bad news for Stevens on the road. Raiders are going to have their hands full. I think Brandon Valley's going to win that game. That would be a huge upset if the Raiders were able to get going early out there. And I think that could potentially happen. Stevens has started fast in some of those games back there. And if that happens, they might be able to stick around against the Brandon Valley team that just hasn't played well. But I think Brandon Valley does win. They've been highly touted and not playing well. I think this is the week they show up. And then an interesting showdown out east that I do want to put in my picks. Brown's Best last pick, featuring 2 East River teams. The number 1 team in 11 AAA, Sioux Falls Roosevelt, is playing the undefeated team in 11 AA, Harrisburg. Roosevelt and Harrisburg playing on Friday. This sure seems like it wouldn't be a great matchup, especially when you look at last year. Harrisburg really struggled. They've got a good program this year. They've got a lot of players back. Harrisburg's looked really good. They're not going to have enough, I don't think, to play with Sioux Falls Roosevelt, a team that many people are picking to win the AAA championship. Harrisburg doesn't get up at home. They have to go up to Howard Wood Field, which makes a little bit of a difference. It's not a long trip, I'm not saying that, but doesn't get that. Harrisburg has a great home field advantage with their facility down there and the excitement of that. So Harrisburg and Roosevelt, keep your eye on that game, high school football fans. Both teams undefeated, 11 AAA versus 11 AA. Let's kind of give you a sense for these 7 classes that we have. How far a distance, competitiveness-wise, is there between AAA and AA? This may give us a little glimpse of that, because Harrisburg's the the cream of the crop. It seems to be that way in AA right now. Roosevelt's the cream of the crop in AAA. It'll give us a perspective. How much gap is there between the best of the best in AA and the best of the best early here in AAA? Is there really a huge gap? Is the 7-class system, is that why we need it? This game, to me, has more around it than just undefeated against undefeated. It's this whole controversy and discussion we've had over the last couple of years of the 7 classes and teams that are now in 11 AA. Some people say they should be able to compete with the AAA teams. We shouldn't have 2 different divisions. Some people say, no, this is the way it should be. These teams aren't going to be able to compete with the Sioux Falls schools. So keep your eye on that. I do think Harrisburg does play pretty even with them early. I do. But I think Roosevelt wins by 2 touchdowns or more. I think it's going to be that much of a gap. Roosevelt's probably going to win a lot of games at the AAA level by that margin. So just keep your eye on that. The AA, AAA matchup kind of goes to the discussion of these 7 classes. Is there really that big of a gap in depth numbers? Is there a gap in competitiveness? I think that's going to be a pretty good game early on. Roosevelt probably wins it by 2 touchdowns or more. Round's best in the books. Douglas a winner at Spearfish. Central at home over Watertown. Brandon Valley, I think, a wounded team that wins at home against Stevens. And Sioux Falls Roosevelt does win in the clash of 11 AA and 11 AAA. Roosevelt beating Harrisburg is my take. We come back and we kick it around with Craig Maddock. I want to get his take on that matchup. The AAA, AA matchup of 2 top teams coming up this week. Craig Maddock, KWSN Sioux Falls Sports Radio. A lot to get to with him. That's next on SD Sports Buzz tonight.
In Rapid City, you've got a friend in real estate. Hi, I'm Ellen Roach. When buying or selling your home or property, Will Dixon is the man to see.
Will invites you to experience the Keller Williams culture. Whether you're buying or selling, he can assist you through the entire process with a free market analysis and advise you on all your options. Will handles all phases of real estate and has built a track record for success. Call Will Dixon at Keller Williams Black Hills, 390-1140, and let him be your friend in real estate.
Thursday, September 22nd, McPherson Auction Company will conduct a residential and personal property online auction only, selling a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with 3-car drive under garage in the Whitewood Hollow edition of Boulder Canyon, just minutes away from Deadwood, on a 1-acre Black Hills lot, including a large 30 by 48-foot shop building. Also selling furniture, John Deere riding mower, MTD Pro 28 snowblower, and much more, all in like new condition. An open house to view the property and the personal auction items will be held this Sunday, September 11th, and Sunday, September 18th, from 1 till 3 p.m. each day. Internet online auction day, Thursday, September 22nd. Full auction details at McPhersonAuction.com.
How would you like to have your crown in 2 hours instead of 2 visits? Hi, this is Dr. Eldon Rice with Rice Area Dental in Rapid City. Technology is changing, and at Rice Area Dental, we are keeping up by using the latest state-of-the-art equipment. We offer crowns in hours instead of days. No more temporaries, no more multiple visits, no messy dental impressions, just same-day restorations.
Call us at 342-RICE. That's 342-7423. Dr. Rice Area Dental on Canyon Lake Drive, the dentist that makes you smile.
You're listening to SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
At Farm Bureau, we know life insurance might not be the first thing on your mind today or any other day, but we also know that deep down, everyone wants to do the right thing for their family, and that means protecting what matters most. You might not want to think about life insurance right now, but right now is the right time to talk to a Farm Bureau agent. We'll make it easy for you. Farm Bureau agents make insurance simple.
Call me, Tom Berger, your Farm Bureau agent in Rapid City, at 348-3470.
Make the mountains your backyard. Make the lake your pool and the night sky your high-definition television. Stop by Dakota Discount RVs today and take a look at our wide variety of new and used fifth wheels, travel trailers, toy haulers, and more. We're sure you'll find something you love at a price you can afford. We take pride in our integrity and service long after the deal, so why pay more for good memories when you can buy with a comfortable, low-pressure, locally owned and operated RV dealer? At Dakota Discount RV, we can make your dreams come true at an affordable price.
3330 East Mall Drive, Rapid City.
This summer, get a great deal on your favorite Chevy. Save 16% off MSRP on remaining Silverado, Malibu, and Cruze inventory. That's a savings of over $7,000 when you buy a Silverado. Just think of all the things you can buy with that extra cash. Maybe a first car for your newly licensed kid, or maybe even just paying off some bills. However you choose to spend that extra cash. Our friendly staff is here to help you get started. Your new road starts here. Feel the difference at Rapid Chevrolet.
Welcome back to SD Sports Buzz tonight, South Dakota Sports Talk Show on 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio, and also online. We're streaming live video. You can watch us anywhere online on your mobile device, laptop, whatever you may be using. Welcome in at sdsportsbuzz.com through our new YouTube streaming channel. It's unbelievable. I never thought I would be a YouTube sensation. I don't know if I am a sensation, but it sounds okay, and it's working well. So we welcome you into SD Sports Buzz tonight on sdsportsbuzz.com as well. Busy show coming up. A lot of guests to get to. Some big wins for Central Stevens last week at the Rushmore Bowl. St. Thomas More, impressive over a good Hot Springs team. So the Cavaliers continue to roll. We'll get a breakdown from all the coaches. Coming up, Max Hodgen. He's the head coach of the number 1 ranked team in 11A. St. Thomas More has their eyes on that team, Madison. Madison's been so good over the last few years, and he's done a great job there. Max Hodgen coming up for the Madison Bulldogs. But first, Craig Maddock at KWSN Sioux Falls Sports Radio on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Craig, how are you?
I'm doing great, Nate. Always great to talk with you.
Well, I love having you on. You know, the Sioux Falls perspective is something that we really welcome out here. I'm going to start keeping.
This is where you get your laughs. This is where you get your laughs on the East River views.
Pretty much.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to be serious, but let's keep it real. Right. I do want to say this is something I want to talk to you about right away. Is this matchup of Sioux Falls, Roosevelt, and Harrisburg coming up this week. I don't know if you focused on this at all, but I kind of started the show with this game talking about Roosevelt, cream of the crop of AAA. It seems that way anyway. You know, at least one of the best teams, if not the best. Harrisburg, probably the best team in 11AA. At least it seems that way early. So you have this interesting matchup. I don't think it's just a simple game like that. I think this is something I want to look at. Roosevelt, Harrisburg this week. Is this going to be the game that people discuss? Well, that's why we have 7 classes. Look at the gap between the top in AAA and the top in AA. Is there going to be a big gap this week between those two?
You know, there could, and I say could mainly because we are still early. I know this is going to be week 4. You know, we're almost halfway through the season. But you know what? This football season goes by so fast, and it takes some of these teams 4 or 5 weeks to get into it. I saw an O'Gorman team last week that was absolutely 180 degrees difference than a week before, mainly because they have a new system. But I think this is going to be the bigger test is for Harrisburg than it is for Roosevelt. Roosevelt's got the size and the speed. I just don't know if Harrisburg has the same number of athletes who have the same type of size and speed. You've got Roosevelt that is, 5 times bigger than Harrisburg. I have not seen Harrisburg yet. I know they're doing well. I've got it as a 2-team race in 11AA between them and Mitchell. But when it comes to AAA, Sioux Falls Roosevelt should be able to take care of this on Friday night.
Well, and I did point that out, see, and you just gave the talking points of why the 11AA class and AAA class got created. You just gave talking points. It's depth. It's about numbers. We don't have enough athletes consistently. We just can't compete. That's the talking points of that mentality.
Mr. Brown, I told you this last year, and I think I told you the year before. I'm proposing 5 classes of high school football. 11 AAA stays where they are. Class 11A and class 11 AA should also have its own class. And then you have 11A and 11B combined, and then 2 classes of nine-man football. There you go. Those are your 5. That's the way it should be.
Okay, so you go down that road. So you are a proponent. You don't think the AA schools consistently, year in, year out, the teams in AA right now can compete in AAA. That's your thought.
Washington went down to Yankton, and it was 41-0 first quarter, 31-0 first quarter. They had no problem with the Bucks. Although, a great matchup coming up, I believe, next week or the following week. Mitchell is at Lincoln. The last 2 times Mitchell has played Lincoln, Mitchell has won. I mean, if you have the athletes, you have a chance in AAA. But again, the talent level, the number of athletes is going to be more with those in AAA. But then you look at Rapid City Stevens, you look at Rapid City Central. I can't wait to see Stevens. I want to see what they can do with Brandon Valley.
Well, I want to ask you about that. Craig Maddock on tonight, KWSN Sioux Falls Sports Radio. Brandon Valley was touted as early on here, and I know we're still early, but I'm talking preseason and week 1, saying Brandon Valley has good talent, good quarterback play. They've been a solid program. People thought Brandon Valley was going to be up there, I think, with the Washingtons and Roosevelts, I think. And now they're staring at a 1-2 record. They get beat by O'Gorman this past week. Is this a bad week for Stevens to catch Brandon Valley?
Yes, it is, because I saw Brandon Valley destroy Watertown 40-0 in a defense that only allowed 24 yards of rushing offense in the first half. And then I think maybe Brandon Valley got picked on maybe one of their weakness, because when they played O'Gorman had a hard time running up the middle. But what they did, they ran out on the outside, and they threw on the outside. So that's where they got all their yardage last week. So they may have found maybe a little bit of a ding in the defense for Brandon Valley. But I think they'll fix that. I still have them one of the top 3 teams in AAA. And I can't wait to see what Stevens does.
Oh, I wonder if that that anticipation in your voice is valid. But
no, it is. You know how much I want to see Central and Stevens be able to play and have winning records and compete in the playoffs. I mean, everyone wants to see that.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm hearing the rumor mill, and we never like talking about that too much on air, but I'm hearing. And is there any legitimacy to Sioux Falls, Roosevelt, Washington, what have you, looking into the future of, maybe we're going to have to play Fargo and teams like that. Maybe we're just going to have to do that. Is that a real discussion out there?
I have mentioned it. I don't know how true it's going to be. Sioux Falls will never totally give up the Rapid City schools. They can't. I mean, we're all in state. They have to play each other. But there are opportunities maybe for Sioux Falls, instead of playing a team that's in 11 AA, like a Harrisburg or a Mitchell or a Huron, that maybe they could grab a team either from Fargo or maybe even Sioux City. But there's nothing on the horizon on that.
So you think that might be good, though? I mean, you not replacing the Central and Stevens matchups, but potentially replacing somebody else.
Right. You can't give the Heisman stiff arm to Rapid City. You can't do it. Sioux Falls schools need to continue to play them.
All right, and nobody's mentioning that. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to give the stiff arm out here.
Well, I have not heard that, and I don't think that would be good.
Okay, all right. I'm just double checking. I'm doing a little investigative reporting here. What is your take on St. Thomas More? Because it looks as though Lennox, and I'll come back to where I'm going here. Lennox must not be very good this year. They made the playoffs. They beat St. Thomas More last year. That's the reference. And then Lennox gets hammered by Hot Springs to start the year. And then we see St. Thomas More really not have any problem with Hot Springs last week. 28-0 win. St. Thomas More getting people's attention in your poll?
St. Thomas More is number 2 in our poll. And I told you the last time that I was on with you, I have them going to the Dome. I have them going to the Dome this year. I like their offense, their high power. You know what? Their schedule giving them some competition, but not a lot of competition. Sioux Falls Christian, T-Area, Millbank, those are going to be the other schools that will have to go, I think, through St. Thomas More once the playoffs begin, because I think Madison certainly is going to be the top seed.
How about Madison blanking West Central? Is Madison, I mean, they're the number one team, and it seems like they might be quite a bit better than anyone. Is there anyone else back there? I mean, how serious are you on Sioux Falls Christian, Millbank, T-Area? What do you know about those programs?
Sioux Falls Christian has a decent defense, pretty good defense. They'll get a good test because they get Sioux Valley this week on the road. T-Area, they get Del Rapids. We'll see if Del Rapids is going to make a comeback. They've won 2 in a row now after they got beat. But I still think it's still Madison, St. Thomas More.
Is that right? Wow, look at this. Craig Maddock coming out early in 11A, and in AA you like Harrisburg Mitchell, and in AAA you still think Roosevelt, Washington, Brandon Valley. Not a lot of separation, or has Roosevelt separated themselves?
You know what? I got to keep O'Gorman in there. I really do. What I saw last week, they have come alive with Jason Poppinga. I'm not going to discount them at all. But the big matchup, if Washington and Roosevelt keep on winning, those two teams play the last game of the regular season.
Who would win, Winter or Madison, right here tomorrow if they played?
Wow. I would pay to go see that one. And you know I don't go pay and see very many games. You know that.
That's right.
That's a good one. Winter has, I think, more firepower.
They really are unbelievable. I mean, we know this. Winter is the real deal. I've asked Coach Aker, do you think about going to 11A, petitioning up to 11A? I've asked him about that.
I know Coach Aker, and I know exactly what he would say. They will never back down and say, hey, we will, because I remember they would play St. Thomas More all the time. They're not afraid to play anybody. But I still believe 11A and 11B, they should, that whole system, they should be all playing in one division.
Yeah, I do agree with that. That's the hypothetical. We won't be able to know. Winter and Madison, they won't be playing. That would be an interesting one. Craig Maddock, KWSN Sioux Falls Sports Radio. Great stuff as always. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime, Nate. Take care, pal.
All right, Craig Maddock tonight on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line from KWSN Sioux Falls Sports Radio. There's his picks. He's still hanging with St. Thomas More getting to the Dome. We're a long ways away from, that discussion, right? And what people overlook there is how the PowerPoint playoff system plays out. It all depends on seeds. If you get a good seed and a favorable matchup in that scenario, you could see that happening. But it also could put you in a bad position against an East River team that's pretty salty, and things can go awry, as we saw with Lennox last year. And St. Thomas More, and many people felt, I think, was favored in that game. And I felt like there was certain areas where they were much better, and then areas where they just couldn't quite, plug it up. And St. Thomas More ends up getting knocked off by Lennox in maybe a year where St. Thomas More could have been pretty competitive deep into the playoffs. So always tough to pick the Dome teams, here in week 4 as we enter week 4. But Craig Maddox staying pretty solid with it. Madison and St. Thomas More, he feels, the best right now in 11A. But it all comes down to where the seeds are going to happen and how that's going to be put together as teams continue to win and the strength of schedule and all that stuff that's factored in. Your opponents that win and all that stuff. It's always one of those things you wait for when you're St. Thomas More, looking at, okay, how are things going to line up on our way to trying to get back to the Dome. But by the way, it sounds like Craig Maddock pretty solid with Sioux Falls Roosevelt beating Harrisburg in that matchup of 11 AAA against 11 AA, the two top teams right now, Harrisburg and Roosevelt. I think Roosevelt wins it pretty comfortably. I'm still not quite there with Craig on the AAA and AA should continue to be separated. I'm just not quite there. We come right back, talk college football. South Dakota Mines went on the road for their first game of the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference this past week down at St. George, Utah, playing Dixie State, and the Hard Rockers get their first conference win in the RMAC, off to a 2-0 start, feeling good, and hitting the road again down to Colorado State Pueblo, a team that just won the national championship in 2014. The task is tall for the Hard Rockers, and their head coach, Zach Tinker, will discuss it when we come back next on SD Sports Buzz tonight.
Dale's Tire and Retreading has been providing quality brands of tires and excellent service to the Black Hills area for over 50 years. Dale's Tires sells tires for cars, trucks, SUVs, agriculture, construction, and more. Dale's Tire has what you need when you need it and offers appointment times to get you in and out faster. See the experts at Dale's Tire and Retreading. 2 convenient locations in Rapid City, 691 Deadwood Avenue and 3200 Campbell Street. Dale's Tire and Retreading. Looking for a winning team to follow this summer? Check out the Black Hills Unbeatable Tandem of Xerox and the color experts at Matheson's. Hit a home run with a Xerox Workcenter MFP today, and you'll be able to print, copy, and scan your crucial business documents and marketing materials just like the pros do. Matheson's cost per copy program is the safe play every time. You pay nothing up front for the equipment, and the high cost of supplies and repairs become a nightmare of the past. Visit the Matheson's team of Xerox All-Stars at 324 St. Joe Street, downtown Rapid City, or at mathesons.com.
In Rapid City, you've got a friend in real estate. Hi, I'm Ellen Roach. When buying or selling your home or property, Will Dixon is the man to see.
Will invites you to experience the Keller Williams culture. Whether you're buying or selling, he can assist you through the entire process with a free market analysis and advise you on all your options. Will handles all phases of real estate and has built a track record for success. Call Will Dixon at Keller Williams Black Hills, 390-1140, and let him be your friend in real estate.
Your sports, your show. This is SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters. Rapid City Central Cobblers football is on the air 6 o'clock this Friday night as the Cobblers host the Watertown Arrows. Hey, it's Brian Fisher here inviting you to tune in as I bring you play-by-play coverage of the Cobblers and the Arrows, brought to you by these community-minded high school sports sponsors: Pro Auto Care, Fisher Rounds Insurance Agency, McPherson Auction Company, Farm Bureau Services Agent Tom Berger, Dakota Discount RV, Rapid Chevrolet Cadillac, Dale's Tire, Matheson's Printing, and Rice Area Dental. Kickoff at 6 o'clock this Friday night on Kim Radio. Talk that matters. When it comes to shopping for a used vehicle, you can find good, you can find reliable, and you can find affordable. But it isn't too often that you find all three in one vehicle, except when you shop at Pro Auto Care. At Pro Auto Care, all vehicles are inspected and serviced on-site by ASE certified auto technicians, so you know your vehicle will be reliable. And they're affordable, too, many priced under $4,000. Check them out at Pro Auto Care, 1891 Rand Road, Rapid City, 342-0857.
Customer service and knowledge. You expect it, and we provide it. As a general insurance agency, Fisher Rounds & Associates has aligned itself with the nation's strongest carrier networks, giving you the highest quality coverage at the best possible price. When it comes to claims or other issues, we handle everything so you don't have to. That's what we mean when we say we're at your service and at your side. Fisher Rounds & Associates, proudly serving South Dakota with offices in Pierre, Mitchell, Rapid City, Sioux Falls, and Watertown.
And we're back on SD Sports Buzz tonight with Nate Brown, presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores on East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. Welcome back in on 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio, and also online at sdsportsbuzz.com. We welcome you in if you're watching the live stream right there. Remember, all of our guests on this program, the interviews are archived. You can listen to them at your own convenience. So you want to get plugged in for the Hard Rocker game coming up this weekend as we get ready to preview it. Go to sdsportsbuzz.com. The interview with Coach Zach Tinker will be right there. Also, all of our high school football previews on tap. So all the interviews from tonight posted tomorrow in archived form at sdsportsbuzz.com. You can just run the gamut. You have football. Going to the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line for head coach of the South Dakota Mines football team that starts the year 2-0 is Zach Tinker. Coach, how are you?
Awesome, Nate. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I want to talk to you about this first road trip in the RMAC. You make the trip down to St. George, Utah. Pretty long trip and a pretty hot start to the game. I want to get your take on that right away. I mean, I know it's the elements and you have to deal with cold and wind here and all that stuff that's going to be coming and things that you're used to. But how about that start down there against a Dixie State team that's used to the hot weather? You haven't had a lot of 100-degree days up here in Rapid City preparing. Was that a factor going into it that you were concerned about right away when, I don't know what the temperature was, it was over 100?
Yeah, I felt like it was warm, didn't you?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, my body profile is not really made for 118 degrees on the field at game time, and that's what it was. I mean, it was, we knew it was a factor. We knew going into the week, really going back to when the schedule came out, that it would be a unique situation for us, that you just can't simulate that. If you're not in that heat, you can't simulate it. And even when you are, we broke out the new white jerseys on Saturday night, which are gorgeous, the new Under Armour jerseys. But the new jerseys, they fit tighter than the old jerseys, So you got that new tight jersey on. You're in that extra heat. So it was absolutely a factor for us. I was concerned about it, and I probably too much so because it affected sort of the way I managed the first half, and I thought it was a contributing factor. My management of the first half was a contributing factor to why we didn't play a very good first half, specifically on offense. And then, and really our conditioning came through and was the winning edge for us in the end. And that's Brett McGez and his program on the strength and conditioning side of things. We were in great shape, and our kids went out and proved it by the way they played on Saturday night.
When you say you kind of, maybe took the gas off a little there or a different approach in the first half, does that mean you slowed it down offensively? Usually your high pace, high powered offense, let's get it and go. Did you slow it down a little bit?
I think I would just say that, every time I've been involved in a game and I've tried to really manage the game as a coach, it all sounds good, and it never works. I mean, it's kind of like, having all the being in the kitchen and having all the elements on, and you got 10 different things going on in the kitchen, and you try to get them to all be ready at the same time, and it sounds good, and maybe the math works out, but it just doesn't work. And so I was trying to do too many things, and I wouldn't say slowing it down or anything like that. It was just probably just trying to do too much. And then once we just let the players play the game and I put the game in the players' hands, our players were more than capable of going out and getting the job done.
Hard Rockers get a win at Dixie State. First win of the RMAC as their first debut game goes 31-27 on the road down at St. George, Utah. Hard Rockers are 2-0. Head coach Zach Tinker on tonight as they get set for another road trip down to Colorado State Pueblo. We'll talk about that matchup coming up. Let's talk about that effort, by the way. Offense got off to a slow start. Coming on the defense in the first half, it was 8-3 at the half. You were down, but it could have been worse. Defense, I thought, settled in right away.
Yeah, we've had a funny deal where we've not scored on our first possession, and we've given up a score on our first defensive position. So that's something I'd like to put an end to here this weekend. But we kind of came out and just didn't quite execute on either side of the ball early. And then defensively, Coach Breisman just did a great job of getting us settled in defensively. And we started to do the things that the Rocker Dog defense does. We stopped the running backs from running the football. We forced teams into being a little bit more one-dimensional. And I thought we really tackled a lot better. We gave up a couple yards here and there, but I thought our defensive effort and our alertness and our attention to detail was there. But our defensive line was disruptive throughout the course of the night. And I thought as the game wore on, that was a big factor.
When you look at the second half, the offense really picked it up. Some big running plays. Kevin Thompson had some big plays. Jake Sullivan, again, threw it through the air. He had some big running plays. Is that something that you like seeing from Jake Sullivan? He seemed like when you needed some yardage, he was able to get it done on the ground. It seemed like in big scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Jake, I mean, I think he's as good an athlete as we have in our program. And it's not often that that's the quarterback position, but we're blessed that it is in this case. And so, one of the best things we do is we get it to one of our best athletes every single play. We snap it to him, and then he either gives it to somebody else or he handles it himself. And, I thought his decision-making in terms of when to move and when to run was good. I thought his execution running the ball was good. There were some designed runs in there, and then there were some improvised plays. I think that mix is always important to have, and I thought he did a great job. Kevin Thompson, for the second game in a row, had an explosive touchdown run that was at a critical time. And the one at the start of the third quarter, I thought completely changed the complexion of the game, and it sort of got the monkey off of the back of the offense. And from that point forward, we kind of felt like we had more control of the game and felt more comfortable. His big play-making ability, his ability to hit the home run at any time is different, and it changes the game because you feel like you do have a home run hitter that can break one loose. So I thought our big play ability has really shown through. We certainly need to become more consistent in all three phases, but I think our big play ability has been there, and we got to continue to see that grow.
South Dakota Mines head football coach Zach Tinker on tonight. SD Sports Buzz tonight joins us on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Hard Rockers are 2-0, beating William Jewell in the first game, winning the RMAC opener against Dixie State on the road. Now gets set for a road matchup against a big-time program in Colorado State Pueblo. I know it's week by week. Every matchup's different. The win on the road at Dixie State, what does that do mentally after a long road trip back? Boy, it's a heck of a lot better after winning a game like that coming into the next week. What does that do for you mentally, confidence-wise, going into this tough one this week?
Well, it does what winning does, which is it helps the players trust the process, and the people in the program trust what's going on, that, hey, the things we coach, some of them work. Trusting each other as teammates, believing in one another, caring about one another, serving one another, holding each other accountable, being tough in tough times and persevering. When we talk about our core values, it helps to have evidence that the core values of the program work. Before that, you have what's called faith, and faith is belief without evidence, and faith is great. But actually having evidence that it works helps promote your confidence. And so now, instead of just having faith, now we have some belief and confidence, and we're going to need faith, belief, and confidence to have a chance this week.
Talk about that before we let you run. Colorado State Pueblo, I don't know if people realize this. They're 0-2. Yes, on paper, 0-2. They lose to a top team in Colorado Mines. They lose another game this past week to another top NCAA Division II program. We're talking top 15 teams here, and you catch them on a week where they're still trying to look for win number one. What do you notice about Colorado State Pueblo as you've prepared this week? What do you notice about this program?
Well, the first thing you notice is that they've played some really high-level teams so far. I mean, if you lost your first two games to Oklahoma and Ohio State, you'd feel differently than if it were to some other opponents. So they've played some really good teams. The film that we're watching, it's high-level Division II college football. It's as high a level as you're going to find. It's playoff caliber Division II college football. And they've been in both those games and been getting after it in both those games. I think the thing you notice is that, number one, they're a big football team. Their offensive line is big. Their defensive line is big. Their linebackers are really big. They have good size to their program. And then the other thing you notice is the depth of the program, that it's not just one or two guys at a position that stand out. It's multiple players over and over and over and over and over again. You see new waves of players coming in. They have a good system on defense. They have a good system on offense. They're organized with what they're doing. And then you notice that, all those things going on, they just, for whatever reason, haven't played their best football yet. You know it's coming. They're 5-time defending Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference champions. They're a perennial playoff team. You know their best football is in front of them. I'm encouraging them to wait a week until they play their best football, see if they can, keep us in the football game on Saturday. But they're just a really talented team, and I know that we got a huge challenge in front of us. And the thing I like about our team, Nate, is that our kids are excited about the challenge. They want to go battle. They want to not just say, hey, we went and competed. They want to contend. Our plan right now is to go win a game at Colorado State Pueblo. It's a tall task. We understand that. But that's part of that, this game is why you play. These type of opportunities, it's why you play, to test yourself against the very best. And they've certainly been that for 5 years and counting now.
I look forward to seeing it this Saturday. You can watch the live stream. We'll have it hooked up, GoRockers.com. You can watch a live stream through the Colorado State Pueblo website as well. Colorado State Pueblo hosting South Dakota Mines. Hard Rockers off to a good start, 2-0 under head coach Zach Tinker as they go on the road this week and getting ready for the home matchup against Black Hills State in a little over a week from today. Coach, I appreciate it. Good luck.
Appreciate it as always, Nate. Thanks for your support of Hard Rocker football. Rock on.
That is Zach Tinker tonight on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Has his guys off to a great start. That was a huge win on the road at Dixie State in the RMAC. South Dakota Mines 2-0, facing Colorado State Pueblo this weekend on the road. And again, the aforementioned matchup, Black Hills State, South Dakota Mines, coming up at O'Hara Stadium September 24th. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Put it on your calendar. A big one coming to O'Hara Stadium, the Black Hills Brawl, the 131st year, a little over a week away. We come right back and talk to Wayne Sullivan, St. Thomas More head coach. They are unbeaten. What was his take on their last win over Hot Springs? Coach Sullivan, straight ahead next.
Thursday, September 22nd, McPherson Auction Company will conduct a residential and personal property online auction only, selling a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with 3-car drive under garage in the Whitewood Hollow edition of Boulder Canyon, just minutes away from Deadwood, on a 1-acre Black Hills lot, including a large 30 by 48-foot shop building. Also selling furniture, John Deere riding mower, MTD Pro 28 snowblower, and much more, all in like new condition. An open house to view the property and the personal auction items will be held this Sunday, September 11th, and Sunday, September 18th, from 1 till 3 p.m. each day. Internet online auction day, Thursday, September 22nd. Full auction details at McPhersonAuction.com.
How would you like to have your crown in 2 hours instead of 2 visits? Hi, this is Dr. Eldon Rice with Rice Area Dental in Rapid City. Technology is changing, and at Rice Area Dental, we are keeping up by using the latest state-of-the-art equipment. We offer crowns in hours instead of days. No more temporaries, no more multiple visits, no messy dental impressions, just same-day restorations.
Call us at 342-RICE. That's 342-7423. Dr. Rice Area Dental on Canyon Lake Drive, the dentist that makes you smile.
Quality and service first. Mel's Auto Body. Get a drive-through estimate or come on in. We're right here under the big red M. Over 30 years our family has put quality and service first. We take pride in making sure you're satisfied. Quality and service first. Mel's Auto Body.
And we're back on SD Sports Buzz tonight, presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores on East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. For the best prices on groceries, all the name brands right there at Save-A-Lot Food Stores. Fresh produce, fresh meat, and discounts on meat every day. Steaks, pork chops, chicken, all at Save-A-Lot Food Stores. Get into Save-A-Lot and get yourself the best deal in town on all the staples. Save-A-Lot Food Stores, East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. Nate Brown on SD Sports Buzz tonight and 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio and also at SDSportsBuzz.com. By the way, 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio, your home for Rapid City Central taking on Watertown coming up on Friday night. And we'll talk to Rob Sales, head coach of the Central Cobblers, straight ahead as they got that win they've been looking for. Coach Sales, I congratulate him. He's been a guy that's been grinding, just staying positive, getting after it. And I'm telling you, folks, it's pretty easy from the outside to criticize, and people look and they when's Central going to win, or when's Central and Stevens, or when are they going to compete, and things like this. And there's guys that are working hard every day, working with the kids every day, and I congratulate coaches like that, coaches like Rob Sales, who stay with it. It's a lot harder than people realize, and they get a big win over Spearfish, and I like Central's chances against Watertown. We'll talk to Coach Sales coming up. Guy that stayed with it over the years. They didn't win all the time either, but they win, it seems like, all the time now. Is St. Thomas More, and their head coach is Wayne Sullivan on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great, and congratulations to Coach Sales. I know how that is, and and what's good is you get one, hopefully it turns into two, and it keeps on going from there. That might happen. You've been known to do that a little bit as well. It turned into 2, 3, 4, and on down the road. You've already got 3 wins this year. I look at the last game, Hot Springs, you shut them out. You win 28-0. What was your evaluation, offensively and defensively, of your guys when you look at that game? Well, first and foremost, Coach Kramer has it going on in Hot Springs, and they're very tough. They're always physical, and that was no different this past game. And again, as any coach would tell you, nobody likes homecoming week other than when it's over as a football coach. And, I think that kind of took us out of our game, our first couple of series, as uncharacteristic. We had 2 turnovers in the first 2 series. We had the ball. But good teams come back from that, and I think that's one of the things we were able to do, settle down, make some adjustments, because Hot Springs was giving us fits, and then we were able to adjust in the second half. What was the difference on defense? I mean, Hot Springs is physical. They just want to run it. They want to run it a lot between the tackles. Usually they want to beat you up a little bit. What was your difference on defense? Well, again, kind of like I've been saying all year, that has been a huge emphasis Coach Nowotny and our defensive coaches have been putting on, stopping the run and stopping C-gap, and trying to make sure, because as we get deep into the playoffs and we get into those East River teams, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to pound, try to beat you between the tackles. So we've had a huge emphasis on trying to get that done. And, it starts with our front four. And I tell you what, we have 2, probably the best defensive ends, I think, in the state. I think these 2 would start anywhere. In Cameron Fees and Chase Thurnis. And then we're pretty lucky to have 2 inside tackles that are big physical kids who have done great things this year for us. They worked real hard this summer, and, with Kobe Whipple and Christian Simonik. I was wondering about your perspective here, the O-line and the D-line. You missed some guys from last year. I mean, people look at this, and you see guys that graduate, and you lost some guys up front. Are these guys up front coming along quicker than you thought, or did you always think this was going to be okay? No, you're hit it right on the head. They have progressed, especially offensively, as we only had 1 returning starter, and that's Chase Thurnis. So we've had 4 new guys step in on the offensive line for us: Ty Negebauer, Dylan Woods, Hunter Collins, and Rob Ingram, who were both on the running back depth chart. But Hunter Collins and Rob Ingram, but we said, hey, you can start right away on offense because they both play linebacker on defense. And so that athleticism moving into offensive line has really helped us. Wayne Sullivan, St. Thomas More head coach, on tonight. They're 3-0. They get set to host Lee Deadwood this week. 2 big wins the last couple of weeks over Aberdeen Roncalli on the road and a 28-0 shutout against Hot Springs. I want to see your take on where you're at now. Just picture this team right now, and I know each year is different, but the feeling you have with this team right now and the level you're at compared to last year's team that was also rolling at about the same clip. Where are you at here? Well, it's funny you say that. We had a discussion last night at practice. Sometimes, it's good to win, but sometimes kids can get complacent, pretty lethargic yesterday, so we had to get on them and kind of get the intensity ramped up a little bit. But one of the things we told them was that this team has the same type of feel of the teams we've taken to state championship games because of the chemistry that they have. They all get along. They all support one another. They're all there on the field, off the field together. And so that chemistry speaks volumes on what you can do for the 48 minutes you're on the football field. So that's something that we talked to them about but now how are we going to get better? How are we going to do things that make us that caliber of a team? And again, it's doing the little things, but doing it 100 miles an hour.
Do you try and look at, when you have matchups coming up here, Lee Deadwood's been really struggling, Custer's been really struggling. You have some games down the road that teams are going to try and compete with you, but do you have to try and set goals for this team as you look at some of these games that where you said maybe you could get a little complacent? How do you keep them dialed in?
Well, and one of the things that we do every week, the most important game is the next one, especially if you're going to want to host for the playoffs, so you can't take a week off. And on games like this, the big thing is this: we tell them there's two things: you either get better or you get worse. And so, what are you going to do this week? It doesn't matter who we're playing, whether it's Hot Springs, whether it's Del Rapids, or Madison down the road. You got to get better every week, and so that's what we focus on. Again, we do a lot of individual work during the week, and so when we come together as a team, are we taking the little things we learn and get better?
I'll let you run with this. Talked about the O-line coming along. The defense has looked good. What have you been happy? You're an offensive guy. I know that, Coach. I mean, that might not be a secret, but you're an offensive guy. What are you happy with on the offensive side? You've had some big play capability. Have you come along offensively as quickly as you want?
I am very happy with where we are in week 3. Are there things that we still are going to implement that we haven't touched on yet? Yes, because you don't want to throw the whole toolbox out now and everybody can scout you and see what you do. But at this point in time of the year, with what we've installed and put in, I'm very excited with our skill people, and of course with Jake Anerud and Preston Arity being our backbone of the offense, and kind of everything runs through them. But I'll say this: our offensive line, what Coach Morano has done with them, is probably the most impressive thing to me at this point in time.
Wayne Sullivan and St. Thomas More 3-0. Cavaliers rolling early, playing Lee Deadwood at home this week. Coach, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Nate. I appreciate it, bud.
Wayne Sullivan tonight. Always good to get him on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line on SD Sports Buzz tonight. Head coach at St. Thomas More, a team that Craig Maddock likes to go to the Dome this year. Craig Maddock out in Sioux Falls said that early on this program. Said it again tonight. Look out. St. Thomas More's looked impressive, no question about that. And I will have to say, maybe more impressive than some people thought here early. And that's hard because we expect St. Thomas More to win these games that they've won. So it's kind of hard to say, well, are they more impressive than people thought? I just think coming along, especially up front, weren't quite sure how those pieces were going to fit there. Weren't, some missing pieces of the puzzle there up front. Are they going to be big enough, physical enough? Here in the early going, it seems like they really have some quality guys that have filled those gaps on the O-line especially, and on the defensive side. We come right back and talk to a team that's been rolling, really. The state champions in 11A, and they're back ranked number 1. Madison Bulldogs, turning into a football juggernaut. Head coach is Max Hodgen. We'll talk to the Madison team. Head coach Max Hodgen coming up, ranked number 1 in South Dakota. That's next.
You've got it locked on South Dakota's sports talk show, SD Sports Buzz Tonight, with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
At Farm Bureau, we know life insurance might not be the first thing on your mind today or any other day, but we also know that deep down, everyone wants to do the right thing for their family, and that means protecting what matters most. You might not want to think about life insurance right now, but right now is the right time to talk to a Farm Bureau agent. We'll make it easy for you. Farm Bureau agents make insurance simple.
Call me, Tom Berger, your Farm Bureau agent in Rapid City, at 348-3470.
Make the mountains your backyard. Make the lake your pool and the night sky your high-definition television. Stop by Dakota Discount RVs today and take a look at our wide variety of new and used fifth wheels, travel trailers, toy haulers, and more. We're sure you'll find something you love at a price you can afford. We take pride in our integrity and service long after the deal, so why pay more for good memories when you can buy with a comfortable, low-pressure, locally owned and operated RV dealer? At Dakota Discount RV, we can make your dreams come true at an affordable price.
3330 East Mall Drive, Rapid City.
And we're back on SD Sports Buzz tonight with Nate Brown. Glad to have you on the program. 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio, our radio home, and we're also streaming online. You can watch the live stream throughout South Dakota, wherever you may be, at sdsportsbuzz.com. sdsportsbuzz.com, your home for the live stream of this program and also the archived interviews of all the guests on tonight. And by the way, you can watch St. Thomas More football live on sdsportsbuzz.com as well. St. Thomas More head coach Wayne Sullivan just on moments ago. The team out 11A football that could be St. Thomas More's nemesis. You never know if they'll match up later down the road. They're on a collision course. It seems that way. Both teams unbeaten right now. Madison Bulldogs, the state champs, back for more. And their head coach is Max Hodgen. He joins us on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, good to talk to you again. How are you?
Great, Nate. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I look at you guys out there, and I'm just trying to wonder, is Madison going to continue to just get better and better? I mean, the talk is you guys are better this year at this point than you were last year. Is that wrong, or is it just hard to judge? What's your take?
Well, it's still early. We're 3 games into it, but, no complaints from me right now. We had to replace a few players, especially on offense, and, the young guys that we have in now, they're doing a great job for us.
When you look at this team, is this about where you thought you were going to be, X's and O's wise, on the offensive side, on the defensive side? Have there been any surprises? Is this about what you thought you were going to get, or better?
Defensively, I knew we had the chance to be really, really good. We're athletic. We had 8 guys coming back, so that really helped, and I figured our defense would be solid. I guess the surprise offensively would be, the way that we're able to throw the ball right now, and I'd have to look at the numbers, but we're at about 275 for throwing the ball a game, and we spread the ball out, and we just have some real nice playmakers on offense, and for a quarterback to come in and his first start was against Del Rapids, and 3 games into average, that's I'm pretty impressed with that.
When you look at quarterback play, is that something that's key for your offense? You seem like you have to have a playmaker there. Is that something that is make or break for you?
It really is, and as an old defensive guy, it worries me a little bit. But we've been fortunate to have 3 solid quarterbacks here over the last 4 or 5 years. So that does help. It's, if you just run the ball, you can hand it off, but we rely on him to make reads and stay poised and make good decisions. And so far, so good, early on in the season.
Max Hodgen on tonight. He's the head coach of the number 1 ranked team in South Dakota, 11A football. Undefeated Madison Bulldogs, defending state champions, just been rolling, and they just blanked West Central, a powerhouse over many years in 11A. 32-0 was the final this past week. Why are people saying Madison's might be better this year than last year? Why do you think people are saying that?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I try not to listen to too much of what's out there. No offense, I know you're part of the media, but we've got a task at hand to take care of. And I guess they would say it just, you set out of West Central. Defensively, we've given up 6 points to Del Rapids and 13, I think, to Dakota Valley. And then we just have some explosive playmakers on offense and in special teams. And, we're pretty balanced offensively, 50-50 on the run pass. And so, there's not a real weakness for us. I think we need to run the ball a little better, but, overall, I couldn't be happier with where we're at right now.
When was the turning point, do you think, Coach, in this program you've built? I mean, Madison, I said it here, we used to not think about football first in Madison. Realistically, it's been basketball, and a lot of success there. And you had these good group of athletes coming along. You've really turned this into a football powerhouse the last few years. When was the turning point for this program to become now a leader in 11A? It seems like every year.
We got to go back a ways. It was probably 2011 we just got whooped down by Sisseton early in the season, and I think we went 0-3. We were 0-3 then, and got beat down. And boy, I had my dauber down. I called up some other coaches that I played with back in college and said, hey, I got to make a change. And we went to the no huddle, and we spread the ball out and just tried to go tempo. And at least there was some excitement. We were still 2-6 that year, but at least we were, I would say, a little more competitive. And then in 2012, we finally got over the 500 mark, and then that was really the turning point. Maybe the change in 2011, but our 2012 season where we started to be competitive, and that's really, we started out just trying to survive when I took over in 2010, and it took us a few years, but definitely the athletes sure make us, all of our coaches and our coaching staff look good. So the most of the credit goes to our athletes.
Well, you've had some great ones. There's no doubt. I mean, basketball's had, and some of these dual sport athletes, you've had some great ones. So you're a big believer, though, in kind of spreading it out, tossing it around. You're still going to run it. You need to run it. You run some zone read stuff. But you think the spread and pass it around has made a difference for you. And I ask that because I still see programs like Winter in 11B. They aren't going to do that. I don't know if they'll ever do that. And that type of offense in South Dakota high school football, you see it a lot. West Central, Winter, Tri-Valley. Still seems like there's teams that have success with it, but that didn't work for you.
No, it didn't. We just had a hard time getting players out. I guess they didn't have fun with it, and and obviously losing didn't help us either. And so we made a wholesale change and just try to have some fun. Winter's a great club. They pack it in there, and they're running straight power football. And I guess you could say the weather does get a little tough here, and when we get into October, and that poses problems for teams like us and anybody that gets in shotgun and spreads it out. But we've got to rely on the run a little bit when it gets nasty like that, and our defense.
Yeah, no doubt. Max Hodgson on tonight. I'll let you run with this. Head coach of the number 1 ranked team in 11A. They're undefeated, the Madison Bulldogs. Who's getting your attention now that you've gotten past West Central, Del Rapids, Dakota Valley? Those are 3 quality wins, I feel like. Who's getting your attention out there in 11A?
Well, I mean, not to look, past our opponent here this week with Lennox and stuff, but I think P on this side of the state's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And then you've got Hot Springs and St. Tommy Moore out west, so it's going to be a tough battle. The first round of the playoffs, if things go well for us and we can get in it, it's going to be a tough. Those first round games they're not going to be a cakewalk by any means. It's going to be 3 tough games if you win it. So we got to continue to improve and stay focused and do what we do best, and have some balance and go out and have some fun and play loose.
What's your take on the new seed playoff system right away instead of the region matchup and then going to the seeding? What's your take on the 1 through 8 right away?
I tell you what, it's going to make for great first-round games. Some teams are going to get left out, and as long as it isn't us, I guess I'm not going to complain about it. I guess I would like to see some of us in the regular season get to go out west or vice versa, or meet in a neutral spot and have some kind of classic and play a St. Thomas More or a Belle Fourche or a Hot Springs, just to see something different. I think the fans would enjoy that, and it could cure up any questions about seeding or anything like that. And I'm not trying to say that anybody out there is not deserving or out here or whatever. I wouldn't mind seeing us play in the regular season. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, I would enjoy it as well. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out with the playoff scenario this year. You guys seem like you're obviously right in the mix at the top right now. Madison head coach Max Hodgson. Coach, I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again. Good luck over the next few weeks.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate visiting with you.
All right, Max Hodgson, good to talk to him. Head coach of the number 1 ranked team in 11A football. The champions, the Madison Bulldogs, they've really put some things together over the past few years there, no doubt about it, and head coach Hodgen on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. We come back and talk Rapid City Central football. How about the win for the Cobblers, a 40-0 shutout of Spearfish at the Rushmore Bowl? Rob Sales talks about it, head coach for the Cobblers, next.
In Rapid City, you've got a friend in real estate. Hi, I'm Ellen Roach. When buying or selling your home or property, Will Dixon is the man to see.
Will invites you to experience the Keller Williams culture. Whether you're buying or selling, he can assist you through the entire process with a free market analysis and advise you on all your options. Will handles all phases of real estate and has built a track record for success. Call Will Dixon at Keller Williams Black Hills, 390-1140, and let him be your friend in real estate.
This summer, get a great deal on your favorite Chevy. Save 16% off MSRP on remaining Silverado, Malibu, and Cruze inventory. That's a savings of over $7,000 when you buy a Silverado. Just think of all the things you can buy with that extra cash. Maybe a first car for your newly licensed kid, or maybe even just paying off some bills, however you choose to spend that extra cash. Our friendly staff is here to help you get started. Your new road starts here. Feel the difference at Rapid Chevrolet.
Dale's Tire and Retreading has been providing quality brands of tires and excellent service to the Black Hills area for over 50 years. Dale's Tires sells tires for cars, trucks, SUVs, agriculture, construction, and more. Dale's Tire has what you need when you need it and offers appointment times to get you in and out faster. See the experts at Dale's Tire and Retreading. 2 convenient locations in Rapid City, 691 Deadwood Avenue and 3200 Campbell Street. Dale's Tire and Retreading.
Welcome back. SD Sports Buzz tonight presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores on East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. It's Nate Brown, 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio. Your home for the Cobblers on Friday. You can hear that game live. Rapid City Central at home against Watertown coming up on Friday here on 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio. Of course, this program streamed live at sdsportsbuzz.com. Welcome in wherever you may be watching the program tonight. A lot of football talk, and it continues in hour number 2. Rapid City Central wins at the Rushmore Bowl over Spearfish in impressive fashion, 40-0. Head coach of the Cobblers is Rob Sales on tonight, courtesy of the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing quite well right now, especially after last week. Next week's always pretty nice.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I wanted to get your take. I kind of went off record here. I went off script tonight and said, being a high school football coach is not all glory. Whether people want to say, oh, man, it's all, it's not all fun. It's tough. It's a grind. When you're going through a program and trying to change the mindset, the culture, trying to get them back on a winning way, it's been a tough one for you. You were close last year in some games. You couldn't get over the top. It's not easy. What did that feel like, just the weight of grinding each week? What did that feel like for you personally last week?
Well, the win is always fantastic. You always like to see the boys get that tangible result during the week. It's like, okay, you guys have been buying in. They're always looking at you. They're always agreeing. They're always saying, what do we got to do now, Coach? What do we do now? And they're following you. They're doing what you're asking them to do. And 2 years of getting punched in the nose and being close and not being able to get that win, when you wanted it or when you should have got it, just couldn't get the ball across the goal line if you needed to. And here, last week, first 2 weeks were a little rough, and then last week they finally let themselves play football for 48 minutes the way they can play, and it was fantastic to see just the energy that it brought to those boys and the result to be there and how excited they were to get that W. And as a coach, you're always like, okay, we got to keep grinding, got to keep doing, got to keep going, got to keep going. And as that high school guy, you're always saying, okay, build the culture, build the culture. And it is a grind, like you were saying, but you always try to say you're doing the right thing, stay the course, keep doing what you're doing, and it'll eventually, all that hard work will pay off. Well, it's the same thing you tell the kids. You got to keep working. it will pay off. Just be patient, you know.
Was it a relief for you, Coach? Was that a relief?
A relief? Yeah, you could probably say that. It's one of those things where it's like not a if you're going to win one, but now, okay, we got that one. Let's go get another one, you know, especially after last year where we had so many close games and you ended the year with a goose egg in the win column and you're just looking at the boys and you're looking at yourself going, man, what the heck did I do? Did I do everything the right way? And so we just kept, the staff was great, the kids were great, parents were supportive. Let's just keep going the way we're going with what we're doing, and that'll come around. And, those first 3 games this year, it's starting to show. We've been pretty competitive. Those first 2 games, again, especially that first one against Sioux Falls O'Gorman, and where the 2 years prior to that, they beat us by 40-plus points. So to be in a ball game with them, beginning of the year was a good sign, and would have been a little bit closer had we not made some mistakes and taken a couple scores off the board. But, hey, that is what it is, and the boys rebounded pretty well, and we ended up getting one against Spearfish, so that's always good.
I want to, tell me the difference here, and I know each year is different. So Spearfish lost players, you lost some too, and maybe you have some more guys back, but whatever it is, how'd you go from losing to Spearfish last year to beating them 40-0? There seems like there's been a pretty big shift in same story with O'Gorman. You were more competitive. You still lost the game, but not by a margin, as you said, that you've seen the last couple of years. What's been the shift here?
The biggest part on our end is just playing time and experience with the kids that we have on the field. That's the biggest thing. Prior to that, the last 2 years, we kind of, half of our starting lineup on both sides of the ball were sophomores. So now, instead of playing those young kids and having young kid mistakes bite you and them getting used to the speed of the game and things like that at the varsity level, we now have juniors and seniors that have a year, maybe a year and a half, even a couple of those guys 2 years full-time starting. So they've been there, they've done it, they get it. Let's go compete. It's our senior year. We want to get this thing done. We're going to turn the boat around. That's the biggest difference on our end.
I see that the experience, they've been through it before. They know it seems like they're getting to know what it takes, and they finally get that win, a big one over Spearfish, 40-0. Now I look at it, Coach. This Watertown team, nothing's easy. We know that in AAA. We know that, but you have to like this matchup at least. You get your win. Now you have a team that I think is another winnable game here. What do you see this week?
Definitely a winnable ball game. Not to take anything away from Watertown or their program or their kids, but we look at this as a winnable football game. You go out there, you execute, take care of what you need to do, and you should be ahead at the end of those 48 minutes. And especially if our boys come out swinging and playing the way they can play. They are a little sneaky, I think. It's one of those things where you have a hard time really judging off of film and looking at who they played and who beat who, trying to judge exactly what they're going to come to town with. They go down, play Mitchell tough. You look, okay, well, what's Mitchell like? Well, Mitchell beat Yankton. Yankton's pretty dang good ball club. But then you kind of think, okay, well, we played Mitchell at the lower levels, and we beat Mitchell or played competitively with Mitchell at those lower level games. So what exactly do they have? Did those kids mature? Did they get some good kids in? How did that whole thing work out? So it's one of those things where it's like, tell the boys, don't judge what you're seeing on film. Look at the tendencies, study the tendencies, but you're going to prepare this week like you're playing a Super Bowl. Okay, you got to do that every week. Don't underestimate your opponent, but we look at it as a winnable ball game.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. The Cobblers could move their record to 2-2 with a win. Head coach Rob Sales getting set for Watertown this Friday at O'Hara Stadium, a 6 o'clock start. Coach, nice win. You got it out of the way. Trying to get another one now. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, Rob Sales tonight, Central head football coach. I like what he's doing there. I really do. It's tough, man. Going through a season like last year and trying to get the mindset right, trying to get the program right. It's tough. It's a battle. I mean, think, the long trips to Aberdeen and Sioux Falls. And, when you match up against Sioux Falls, Roosevelt, things aren't looking good right away. I mean, we got to, make sure we respect our coaches, the jobs that they do, the time, the work that they put in. Congrats to Rob Sales, seeing it through. Tough year last year, and a big win over Spearfish, 40-0 shutout. And I think you want to keep your eye on that matchup this Friday, Watertown Central coming up at O'Hara Stadium. We come right back with Douglas head coach Dan Maciejczak. Douglas, speaking of playing it out, they seem like they show up every week. They may have some down weeks and some games that don't quite go their way. Then, boom, they come back home and they beat Brookings in double OT. Big win for Douglas, and Coach Magic talks about it next.
Real South Dakota sports talk for real South Dakota sports fans. This is SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters. Looking for a winning team to follow this summer? Check out the Black Hills Unbeatable Tandem of Xerox and the color experts at Matheson's. Hit a home run with a Xerox Workcenter MFP today, and you'll be able to print, copy, and scan your crucial business documents and marketing materials just like the pros do. Matheson's cost per copy program is the safe play every time. You pay nothing up front for the equipment, and the high cost of supplies and repairs become a nightmare of the past. Visit the Matheson's team of Xerox All-Stars at 324 St. Joe Street, downtown Rapid City, or at mathesons.com. Rapid City Central Cobblers football is on the air 6 o'clock this Friday night as the Cobblers host the Watertown Arrows. Hey, it's Brian Fisher here inviting you to tune in as I bring you play-by-play coverage of the Cobblers and the Arrows, brought to you by these community-minded high school sports sponsors: Pro Auto Care, Fisher Rounds Insurance Agency, McPherson Auction Company, Farm Bureau Services Agent Tom Berger, Dakota Discount RV, Rapid Chevrolet Cadillac, Dale's Tire, Matheson's Printing, and Rice Area Dental. Kickoff at 6 o'clock this Friday night on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
And we're back on SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown, 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio, and online streaming at sdsportsbuzz.com. Our football rundown continues. Previewing the upcoming week, recapping this past weekend. Go to sdsportsbuzz.com for all your football needs. All the interviews from tonight's show always posted there Thursdays. All right, so we do the program Wednesday. You can watch the live stream at sdsportsbuzz.com, but if you miss anybody, you have to do this and that, whatever, honeydews and all that stuff. Go to sdsportsbuzz.com. You got all the coaches talking about the programs and previewing the upcoming games. All of the interviews archived right there tomorrow at sdsportsbuzz.com. Like our next guest, Douglas head coach Dan Maciejczak, coach of the Patriots, joins us on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good, Coach. I want to get your take here. You start out and you lose your first couple of games, and I think a lot of people start wondering then, and a lot of talk starts happening. Well, Douglas, I just don't know about them this year. They're just kind of off to a slow start, and I just don't know. What is a win like? A double OT win over a team like Brookings, a program that's been pretty good the last couple of years, really. What does a win like that do all of a sudden for the team's psyche, the mindset?
I think it does everything that you would imagine that it would do. I mean, we're a AA football team and we struggle. I think we've made some good leaps and bounds. We beat Huron for a couple of years and we lost to them pretty big this year. We went to overtime last year with Harrisburg and couldn't get it done. We've played Pierre 2 years in a row now in the playoffs, and the first year we played them, we lost to them. Second time, last season they got us pretty good. So for our kids to be 0-2 and to step onto the field and put forth the effort that they did and make the leaps and bounds that we've made offensively, I think, and just clean up a lot of things defensively is huge for us. Our confidence level is up. The kids believe and understand that we are a AA football team and we can play with the bigger schools or, the more successful AA programs are out there in South Dakota.
Well, it was a big one. Double OT win for Douglas. They beat Brookings 27-24. And you talk about some of these young guys on your team, and you're getting this program. You're getting guys into the program earlier, and it's tough out there because guys move in and out. And I understand that, but you have some younger guys, and a win like that, you say it does so much. Then I look at it and I say, what were you able to do? Why were you able to beat a Brookings in double OT after maybe not playing as well the week prior against Hot Springs, for example? What was the difference?
Well, I think first off, we have a lot more understanding, I think, as a football team, offense, defense, and special teams. And like you said, we're a young football team. So, we're starting from the ground going up and doing a lot of basic things. And, I feel like our first 2 weeks were kind of just a test of character to see what type of kids we had, if they wanted to play football, if they were just hanging out wanting to be a part of something. So when you step up and you play Brookings, we just did a lot of good things. We were physical, number one, which is always good because we're undersized, period. And when you play Brookings, you're always going to be undersized. We flowed to the ball well defensively. We got a pick right off the bat. First defensive play, we get a pick. We move the ball down the field offensively, and we score. So going up and being up 6-0 or 7-0 right away, I think was big for our kids. And then, we fought back and forth, made some big plays on defense, did some good things on offense. We didn't put ourselves in a bad spot. And we roll into halftime. I think we were tied 7-7 at halftime. For our kids, they just started believing that we could get it done. And, like for us, it's play in and play out because we don't have a lot of rotation right now with, a lot of young kids. But I think it was their belief, that we kept fighting. And then we get in overtime. We were there last year with Harrisburg. And, our goal this time, as a coaching staff, is I said, last time we went for the fake and we missed it. So let's just grind it out and see if we can win this baby in overtime, if it takes 10 overtimes or 2. So I think it was a good deal for our kids. They really started to understand that we can play with the bigger schools.
By the way, for folks that don't know, Brookings lost to Yankton by 1. So, they could have won that game. They lost to Pierre by 8. They could have won that game. You could have been sitting here with the Brookings team 2-0. Instead, they come out here and they lose. Did they? Do you get a feeling, Coach, teams in the AA ranks, some teams underestimate you? Do you get a feeling like that or not?
Well, I think a lot of teams underestimate us because, we're in that process. We were good for a while and we had some good runs. And last year, it was the first year we officially started playing a bigger AA schedule. We played Brookings and Yankton and Harrisburg and no disrespect in any way, shape, or form to Sturgis or Spearfish. But, the thing is going all the way out there. And for them to come all the way out to us and have to play, I think, it's the same thing. That's a long bus trip period, and it's not an excuse for Brookings, but I kind of feel like, for us to be able to do that, is a great deal. It's tough, but we're just going to keep fighting with it. It's an uphill battle for us every year.
No doubt. Big win for Douglas, though, this week. And now I look at this schedule, and it gets dangerous, Coach, because you never want to look past the next week. But I look at it, you're 1-2. Spearfish just lost 40-0, but they had a couple of wins earlier where they blanked teams too. So you have Spearfish, then you have Sturgis, and then it sets up a matchup with St. Thomas More. You might be able to be in good shape here over the next few weeks. How do you keep these guys dialed in?
I think it's pretty simple for me because I'm probably Mr. Nancy Negative. I just talked to our kids the day after the game. We have a film session, and I said, you got the opportunity now to be the surprise of the AA rankings, or we can be a one-hit wonder. It's about as simple as that. I go, week in and week out with the kids. We don't look forward to anybody. We just kind of take care of what we're getting ready to do this week. So And my biggest thing is not coming off a big win like that and then having a huge drop-off. And, I've seen a lot of that. I mean, and the biggest one that I physically, I'm a Chadron State graduate, was the year Montana State went down and beat Colorado, and then Chadron had the privilege of going up there and playing them after they beat Colorado, and Chadron beat them by 14 points. So you don't want to be that team, and I think that our kids, it's more of a wake-up call because, I'm tougher on our kids than probably any sport there is around. I demand a lot, but, I mean, it's what it takes in order to be successful, and so to get that win, and I think it's a big eye-opener of, putting in all the time in the weight room, spending our summers here with Coach Magic and Coach Patine and everybody. The payoff is the opportunity to say that you're a good football team, not just, we won a game or two.
Yeah, and you're trying to do that now against Spearfish, the next opponent. What do you get? Can you get a feel for Spearfish here? They lost a lot of skill guys, I feel like, from last year. Even though they didn't have a great record last year, I felt like they had some good players. They couldn't quite put it together. Here this year, they start off by playing a couple of teams that they beat easily. Then they get hammered by Central. What's the feel on Spearfish going up there?
Well, I mean, Spearfish is not a slouch football team. They're a good football team, and I think, I have a lot of respect for Coach McCarty. He's a great guy and a great coach, and he's got his kids playing football. I watched the film. We broke down that Central, and I don't think, Central is not a bad football team. They're big up front. They can take care of some stuff, and, they're in the same boat. They're trying to get their program up and going bigger, and I think that they're going to surprise some teams, and they're going to do some good stuff here later on in the season. So I tell our kids, don't underestimate, Spearfish, because, they're fresh off a loss, and they're in the same boat we are right now. I mean, we're both fighting for, that 3-4 spot, hopefully, and that's your dream is to be in those top four. I believe, like Harrisburg, I think is hands and elbow is better than any team right now in AA. I think Mitchell's right up there, and then the rest of it, I think we're in a position to fight, but you don't want to live this dream for, 5 days. Let's take care of Spearfish. They're a good football team. They're physical. They have speed. You can look at their track stuff. I mean, they got kids that can run, and they're very well coached. So it's going to be a battle, and we got to go up there, and I'm sure they're going to be excited to play us.
I set the table here. Do you have that September 30th game circled there, St. Thomas More, Black Hills Conference?
Well, that one's always funny because everybody says, do you hate St. Thomas More and all this stuff? And I said, no. I have a lot of respect for St. Thomas More, and with that respect comes the idea that someday, somehow, you want to beat them. But I will take the 1 year we were 9-1, I think, or 8-1, and we lost. Our only loss the regular season was to St. Thomas More. And I told people that I would never trade those wins for one win over St. Thomas More. But so our goal is, if we can get better, we can play with Spearfish. If we got to keep getting better, we can play with Sturgis. If we get to that point and we get the chance, when we play St. Thomas More, we just got to kind of look at it like it's another game. But it's a huge game. I mean, they're the big team out here. They're always in the state finals. I don't know how many years they've been doing that. And they're always a very productive, high-quality football team. Coach Sullivan does a great job with the kids, and they're producing some top-notch kids. So, I mean, to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's just the opportunity we want to have.
It'll be interesting the next few weeks, how they play out. Big win for you guys, Coach, over Brookings. Douglas beating Brookings in double OT. Patriots trying to get on track now over the next few weeks and keep it rolling. Coach Dan Maciejczak, I appreciate it, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
All right, Dan Maciejczak tonight, Douglas head coach on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. That was a big one right there. Win over Brookings. And nobody saw that one coming, I will tell you that. And now, that's why I set that scene. They go up to Spearfish. Keep your eye on it. I think it's going to be competitive. I don't see a blowout there. So keep your eye on that. Sturgis is struggling, but they did some good things early on against Stevens just a couple of weeks ago. But I see that game 3 weeks from now, St. Thomas More, Douglas. That might be one of the tougher tests left for St. Thomas More. We'll see how it all plays out. We come right back with Stevens head coach Scott Hagan. The Raiders get a big win over Aberdeen Central, And Coach Hagan joins us live next.
Listen to what Pro Auto Care customers have to say.
I go to Tom because he's there for me. I have 7 vehicles on the road on a daily basis, and I know that if something goes on, he'll fix it. He'll fix it right the first time, and if we have an issue with a part, he'll stand behind it. I mean, if we had a part fail that he installed, he'd get the new part and he would install it again, and I'd only pay for it once. Everybody that I know that needs work on their car, I say this is the only place I would go.
Pro Auto Care. Phone 342-0857, 1891 Rand Road, Rapid City.
Each South Dakota farmer operates differently, and that means that ag insurance should be as unique as every farmer in the field. Fisher Rounds & Associates gets to know you and your operation before we find a policy. That way, we can make sure you have the coverage you need. Contact Fisher Rounds & Associates and see what it means to have us at your service and at your side. Fisher Rounds & Associates, serving South Dakota farmers with offices in Pierre, Mitchell, Watertown, Sioux Falls, and Rapid City.
And welcome back. SD Sports Buzz tonight on 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio and online streaming at sdsportsbuzz.com, where you can also hear all of our archived interviews from this show each week. All the coaches right there at sdsportsbuzz.com, all the interviews. So, we give out all these interviews in archive form so you can listen to them at your own convenience and get your inside scoop for the upcoming week in football. And the upcoming game for Rapid City Stevens as they go into Brandon Valley 2-1. Their head coach, Scott Hagan, joins us tonight on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well, Nate. Thank you.
I want to get your reaction here, what it feels like. I know, nice win at the Rushmore Bowl over Aberdeen Central. That was a battle, and we kind of expected that. You win it by 2. What's your reaction being 2-1 right now?
Well, the kids are excited. It was a big momentum boost for them. Playing at East River School, we don't get a lot of credit out here, and so we kind of circle those games on our schedule and challenge the kids. We really thought last year when we went up to Aberdeen that we should have won that game, and the kids worked hard in practice, and with their first home game, they came out ready to play, and I think they surprised some people, and including Aberdeen Central.
Did that game play out the way you thought it was going to? Describe the game. It was tight throughout.
Well, I thought it did. Going in, we had talked last week about their defense, and I spent a lot of time watching the Roosevelt game, and that score was not indication of how close that game was. There was a couple big plays Roosevelt came up with and ended up pulling it out 28-7. And watching their defense, I thought they were big, very physical, fast, aggressive, and we knew that we would just have to execute and just kind of have it a grind-out game and not make any mental mistakes or turn the ball over and kind of fall back to our defense to carry us through as well. And everything that we talked about and the coaches talked about, just going to be a tough game. That's what it was going to have to be.
Stevens beating Aberdeen Central 16-14 at the Rushmore Bowl last week. The Raiders are 2-1. They make a trip this week to play at Brandon Valley. Was that win over Aberdeen Central? Because this wasn't a slouch here at all. Was that win one of the biggest you've had here?
Yeah, I think it is, especially this early in the year, to give us a winning record, and it's just a big confidence boost. Kids came to practice ready to get after it on Monday, and we've had a good week of practice, and I think it's just kind of one of those things that you need a little boost, and hopefully it's one of those games that can turn a season around.
Brandon Valley is next. I said it at the opening part of the program. It seems like a bad week, and it's just me talking from the outside. It seems like a bad week to catch Brandon Valley, meaning they seem like one of the better teams out there. They've gotten off to a slow start. They're going to be raring and ready. What's the message you send to your team?
We told the kids that we're just going to have to be a solid football team. We have to get after it from the get-go against Brandon because they came out here and handled us fairly easily last year. The kids know that they were preseason top 3 team. And they just, had a tough game with Washington, which, that game was a lot closer than what the score indicated as well. And they just kind of had one of those games where whatever could go wrong last week went wrong. They're a very good football team, and we just told our kids we're going to have to play solid on both sides of the ball to have a chance.
I look at Brandon Valley. They gave up perimeter yardage. They gave up some yards on the edge, on the ground, and through the air on the edge. Do you see any openings here for your team this week?
Oh, we do, and it's things that we worked on all week now, and O'Gorman was fortunate enough just to catch them just perfect play against the defense and had some big plays that really broke their back, and I think Brandon was one of those teams that with the high expectations this year, once they got down, it was just kind of a real struggle to continue the game.
It's interesting because I say maybe a bad week to catch Brandon Valley. Do you feel like this is a good thing for you that they're 1-2? Is that a good thing that maybe they aren't quite mentally where they thought they would be?
Probably that's kind of what we've been talking to our kids too about. They're 1-2. At worst they should have been 2-1, and they had to play Washington that first week, and I think that they might be looking for an identity now, and we told the kids expect them to come out with their best effort, but it could be one of those games where